Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Novak again. What we're going to talk about is making a substitute for Chemi-pure that you can make yourself. Some of the ingredients you're going to need is a product that it's called GFO. It's a phosphate reducer. Now, Dick Boyd's is adding this to their Chemi-pure, but you can buy this on the internet. This particular brand I bought off the internet, Amazon, and it costs $22 for 454 grams. You do not have to use this brand. You can use whatever brand you may suit you, but this is just one of the brands that they sell at a reasonable price. They also sell, Kohler Labs also sells uh, more expensive phosphate reducers. I don't know if they're really that much better to pay the extra costs, but Phosban is another one. Another thing I like to use is a high grade of carbon. This is just an example, Aquatic Experts carbon. That's a professional grade activated carbon. This particular container is 5.5 pounds of it. You can make over 5 bags if you're making each bag 16 ounces, which would be a pound. Or you can make them like the Boyd's, where he only uses 11 ounces. So you can do that if you like. Another thing is that you're going to need is a resin. Now, Boyd's has put resin. You've probably seen the little beads inside Dick Boyd's. That's resin. The trouble is you have to buy the right kind of resin. There are different grades of resin. There are resins for industrial grade. This resin that I buy right here uh, is a industrial grade resin, but it's also used for food. Uh, Used in treatment of food for human consumption. That's what you want. High exchange, mechanical strength uh, resin is what this is. And this particular resin is small beads. In the industry, that's what we use, small beads. Like, let's say, um, for your tool and die trade or for your engineers, for your machines, your wire machines, for example. They'll use very small resin versus bigger resin like that's used in Boyd's. So this resin right here is the resin that I highly recommend that you buy. Do not vary from a resin that if you don't know what you're getting. Like I said, this is a food grade. Make sure you only buy food grade resin so it does not harm your aquatic animals. Some of the resins, like I said, are industrial grade resins like this one is, but they're not food grade. Stay away from them. If you don't know what you're doing, buy exactly what I have here. You can go to Amazon once again, and you can buy a huge bag of this. I think it's like $32, and that one bag's going to last you for 5, 10 years. Believe me, there's a lot of resin in it, and that's a good price. The next thing you're going to need is bags. These bags here come with a zipper. They're a fine mesh nylon bag. Um, I've used them. They're very well made. They're not very expensive at all. I think you get 6 bags for like $10 or less. Once again, buy these on Amazon. Here's the number, the SKU number, everything. All you have to do is look up their aquarium filter medium bags with a plastic zipper, and they'll work just fine because of the smaller holes that are in them for your GFO doesn't all come out, and your resin beads, because you're using smaller resin beads, you don't want that to come out. Plus the carbon we are using is small grain carbon versus the pellet carbon that now Boyd's is using. Boyd's used to use small grain pellets that was military grade for like the United States Navy nuclear submarines. I don't think he's using that anymore. That doesn't, the pellets, I don't think United States Navy is using those anymore. But so he's maybe using a different grade. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to say, but they are pelletized versus the granular. The granular, you're going to get more surface area versus a pellet carbon. That's why I stay with the granular carbon versus a pelletized carbon. And these are the bags that you would be using. The next thing you're going to want to buy is a scale. This is the scale that I bought because you can zero this scale out. You turn it on and it gives you different units, means grams, pounds, ounces, everything. And you can place something on top of the scale, let's say like a bucket or something like that, and zero it out and then start adding your stuff to it. So you want to buy a scale like this that you can zero out whenever you use it, and it makes life a lot easier than you can do everything in one container, and you know the weight of the container, you know the weight then of your carbon, zero everything out, then you can turn it to grams instead of pounds and ounces, and it's a very good scale. I think the scale costs like 25 bucks, and that's it. Okay, so now let's get on to making the Dick Boyd's Chemi-pure. What I do is I have a scale. You can buy the scale at on Amazon. This is the scale I use. It could be zeroed out after you put something on it. Now, so if you put a container to do all your mixing in, turn it on, and we can go with units. Let's say you want to go with pounds. Okay, you can put this on, and then you can zero it out. So this weighs 1.4 ounces. So what you do is you grab your carbon. Now this is the professional grade aquatic experts carbon. Okay. Dick Boyd's used to use a very good carbon, but now they only say they use a professional grade. They don't use the military grade like they used in from the Navy. So what I do is I pour in my carbon, pretty easy. I put in about 16 ounces. This normally comes in a plastic container, this carbon does. Now I use 16 ounces versus the 12 ounces that Dick Boyd uses. You know, if you think about it, that the carbon costs $32 for 5.5 pounds of carbon. Okay. That's for the professional grade aquatic expert carbon. And let's see, the GFO here cost, let's see, about $22 for this much GFO. Well, whatever GFO you want to use, it's up to you. Okay. This is a phosphate reducer. This is what Dick Boyd also uses in his Chemi-pure. So I figured this all out to buy the GFO, the carbon, and the resin. Now this is like a big bag of resin. This bag, plus I have this filled. This resin is going to last you 5-10 years, maybe even more. I put it in a sealed container here for the resin I'm not using. This is the food grade resin, and it's the same resin that's inside one of these. And this goes to a zero filter. So it's a very good resin. It's small. This particular resin is very tiny compared to what Boyd's use. This is industrial resin. And in the industry, there's two kinds of resin. This is food grade resin. That's what you want to buy, food grade, because if it's food grade, then it's good for your aquariums, and then you'll be safe. And with that resin, there's another grade of resin, of course, that you don't want to buy. It's a non-food grade. That's industrial grade resin, but that's used for like wire machines. And that takes the TDS down to 0 in wire machines because they need a very low TDS because they run in water. So this is what you want to buy, but the resin itself, once you buy it, you're not going to buy it again. So the total of GFO, the carbon, and your resin, it's going to be about, let's see, that'd be about 86 bucks. Okay, that's what your total is going to be. That's your initial cost. You probably say, yeah, but for 86 bucks, I can buy, at $17, I can buy 5 containers of Dick Boyd's. That's true. But the trouble is, in long term, since you're not going to be buying this for probably 5 to 10 years down the road, the only thing you're going to be rebuying is your carbon and your GFO. And if you get them on sale or whatever, then it's going to come out cheaper. But in the long run, if all you have to do is buy your GFO and your carbon at the price I paid for it, it's going to cost you $54. And that will only buy you about 3 Dick Boyd's. This one will buy you, at the price of $86, you buy 5 Dick Boyd's. And at the $54, what would that buy you? About 4 Dick Boyd's at $16 a piece. So as time goes on, you're going to start saving like $30, $40. You're going to start saving more and more money because all you're replacing is this and this. The bags themselves, these are going to last you for years. You're not going to be replacing the bags, so you don't have to rebuy bags constantly unless you already have bags. But this is a fine mesh bag, and that's the kind that you want. Once again, you buy them on the internet, and that's a one-time buy for the next few years. You got enough bags where you can make yourself up several bags. Like I have here, I made me up a bag already. And it's moist, just like Dick Boyd's is, and it's all ready to go. It's got the GFO in it, it's got the resin in it, it's got everything. So what you do is you put it in a container like this. Now, don't forget, this is 16 ounces of carbon, not 11 or 10 like Boyd's gives you. This is 16 ounces of carbon. Big difference. I like using more carbon when I do use carbon, whether it's my freshwater or saltwater tanks. That's what I like using, is that. Now, on the GFO, 1 tablespoon of GFO is equal to 6 grams. And on here, they recommend you use 1 or 2 grams to a gallon of water. So let's turn this on. Okay, it's on grams. We'll zero that out. Put this on. Zero it out. Now, this will be determined. So for each level 1, that's 11 grams right there. So that would be, if you're using a, going by 1 gram per gallon, that's 11 gallons. There's 21 gallons if you use that. If you have a 20-gallon tank, that's what you would use. If you have a 50-gallon tank, that's 31. So it depends on, and they're 41. And there you go, 50 gallon exactly. So that's 1 gram per gallon. Now I would suggest, because Dick Boyd uses the same thing, is start out with 1 gram per gallon. If you need more, the next time you make up a bag,
You can add 2 grams. But this really helps in saving you money. Definitely, you're going to save money. In the long run, you're going to save lots of money. And before you know it, after a few containers of Dick Boyd's, you are going to pay that initial, what was it? That initial $86. You're going to get that money back because eventually it's just going to pay for itself. So now I have enough in here, just like Dick Boyd's has, for 50 gallon. That's what Dick Boyd's rates hers at, 50 gallons. This is premium grade. Like I said, this is the Aquatic Expert Gray carbon. And the carbon is rated very good, this particular carbon. I like it better than what Dick Boyd's is using because this is still granular, where Dick Boyd's is using the pellet. And the pellet stuff you could buy, well, you can buy that at your local pet store, your Petco or PetSmart, and that's Marineland. You could buy the pellet. If you want to use the pellet, you can go get the Marineland stuff. But this is a professional grade carbon. And you can go on the internet and buy even better carbon than this if you wish to spend the money. But I have not seen any reason why to go beyond this Aquatic Experts carbon. But you can put whatever carbon you want if you want to save money. The next thing we want to do, of course, is then you want to put your resin in. Now, the resin that you're using, don't forget, this particular resin, it depends on what you're using and what kind of fish you have. Let's say, a lot of people say with the Dick Boyd's, I have African cichlids that does great. Trouble is with the resin, if you have African cichlids, you may only want to use, let's turn this on. We'll zero this out. Zero it out again. You may want to use only about 20 grams if you have African cichlids, because this is going to soften your water up. It's going to take your TDS and bring your TDS down. Remember, this is designed to bring your TDS down to 0. Just like this is designed to do the same thing in your drinking water. It will bring your TDS all the way down to 0. You do not want a TDS of 0. Now, for example, in the state of Illinois, state of Florida, we have hard water. Between 20 and 30 is our TDS, total dissolved solids. For example, like in Texas, you can go up to 300 to 400 on your TDS. That's quite high. So if you live in a spot where your water is soft, that's about what you want to use. If you live in a spot like Florida or Illinois, the water is very hard. Everybody's always heard of how hard the water is in Illinois. Well, that's just the way it is here too. And you'll usually tell if you have hard water by the calcium buildup around your aquarium top and stuff like that. Well, this is going to help with that. Because our water is hard, I usually add anywhere about 75 grams. Maybe that's about it. There we go. Just about there. A little 78. Okay, no problem. Anyhow, about 75 grams if you live in hard water. Reseal up the bag immediately when you're done. Get all the air out of it. And reseal it back up. Now, like I said, you're not going to be buying the resin over and over again every time. That's pretty much once every 10 years. Take your little spoon and mix it. And you now have just made yourself a packet of dicboids. That's it. The only difference is between, let's say, this and a packet of dicboids is this is going to have more carbon in it. Dicboids now, through the years, has gotten cheaper and cheaper on their use of carbon. And now they give you what, 11 ounces? And now I've even seen they cut that down to 10 ounces. Remember, they're in the business to make money. Dicboids is. So this, what I have just made up here in this container, now this is 1 pound of carbon, not 10 ounces or 11 ounces. So this is going to weigh a lot more than dicboids. Like I said, the initial cost is going to cost you. But after that, you're going to start making money. You're going to start saving money. Like I said, by the time you buy your second batch of carbon and your second batch of this, you'll save over $30 in dicboid product, $32. As you keep going, you're going to keep saving more and more. If you bought 2 pounds of, let's say you got the Aquatic Expert at $33 for 5.5 pounds. Let's say if you bought 2 of them at a pound, okay, you'd be able to do 11 bags. 11 bags for 60, what is it, 64, 60, yeah, that would be, yeah, $66. Okay. Now for $66, figure out how many dicboids are you going to buy if you buy it at $16 a container. Okay. You'll start saving money in the long run because you're not going to buy the resin over and over and over again. That's it. You have another bag. That's what this is exactly. This is 1 pound. A lot more than what dicboids gives you. So you can actually do more than 50 gallons with this because you have more carbon. So let's say you have a 55-gallon aquarium. This will handle it. You have a 60-gallon aquarium. I would say this would even go with a 60-gallon aquarium. You don't have, if you had a 60-gallon aquarium and you had dicboids, according to them, you would have to buy 2 packs of dicboids, and that's going to cost you, what, $32? Right? So you're really going to start saving money because you won't need 2 packs because you've already overdone the carbon and everything in here and made this for at least 50 gallons. Plus you're using more carbon. It will help. I've always advocated to use more carbon than less carbon. Okay, now the next debate is, I hear people talking about, they've often asked me this, how long does carbon last? There's a big debate. Some people say, oh, it lasts a few days. Other people say it lasts a week. Other people say, like Dick Boyd says, anywhere between 2 to 4 months. Of course, they have an easy out by saying, depending on your bio load. And that's the out of the whole thing. If you have a very large bio load, Dick Boyd's probably will last you 60 days. This is going to last you 60 days. Okay, that's what I would recommend every 60 days. If your bio load's very, very small, like you only have a few tetras, you have a freshwater aquarium, you have plants, and you're using carbon, this could last you as long as Dick Boyd's claims theirs will last. And you don't have to replace it except every 3 to 4 months. If you have a heavy bio load, let's say like I'm using my aquarium as an example where I got the parrotfish, I feed them 6, 7 times a day, they're making a big bio load, it's a different story. Then I would say every 60 days you would have to do it. But to actually find out if your carbon is being used up, you would have to put like malachite green, malachite blue in a container and see how fast the carbon pulls that coloring out of the water. Most people aren't going to do that, but that's how you would tell if the carbon. There was also another trick with carbon that we used to do, and there's the debate about that after we would use the carbon, you could put it in the oven at about 500 or 600 degrees and cook it in the oven for an hour to kind of open it back up again. That doesn't probably pan off very good because you're probably going to use more in gas or electric at 600 degrees to heat this up. And it's better off just to throw it in the trash can. But that was something that went around a long time ago where you could just heat carbon back up again in your oven and you don't have to keep buying the carbon over and over again. But that's what I would recommend for a package, that don't go overboard with the resin. If the resin doesn't seem to be working with your water, add another tablespoon. See, all this varies. So you can customize it to your aquarium. If you have a 100-gallon aquarium, 125-gallon aquarium, well, you really don't have 125 gallons of water. And if you had a 125-gallon aquarium, you would need at least 2 bags of Dick Boyds, and some people would probably even go with 3 bags to be on the safe side. Well, see, you can make this the same way. You can make 2 of these bags, which are using more carbon than a Dick Boyds, and you would just do your other ingredients, such as your GFO and your resin that Dick Boyds has been using forever. You would vary that. Watch what happens. Do some testing. See how your disc is. Your disc is like a little softer? Well, next time you make up a bag, add another tablespoon or 2 to suit you. With Dick Boyds, you're stuck with what he's given you. With this way of doing, and really, this is a hassle. Only took me a few minutes to do this. So this is the way I do it. I've been doing it for years. The price of Dick Boyds have went up greatly since I started. I think it was $6.99 or $7.99 for a container. It's now $17 a container. And think about it this way too. Think about it this way. Look what you're saving. You're not throwing away a bunch of bags. You're not throwing away a bunch of Dick Boyds containers in the trash. You know, if you want to go green, this is the way to do it. Plus, you're going to, in the long run, start saving money. You're going to start getting your money back. Because, like I said, the resin, you are not going to need to buy the resin. That resin's going to last you, I'm telling you right now, 5, 10 years. Or if you have multiple tanks, that's what you want to do. And make sure you take what resin you can and seal it up in a real nice tight container. This is a Rubbermaid container, and it will last you, believe me, it's going to outlast you because you don't use that much of it, of the resin. But this is exactly what Dick Boyds does. And please remember, on the resin, all this can be bought off of Amazon to get the food grade resin only. Food grade. It's for human consumption. Don't buy the resin. If you're not 100% sure, don't buy resin that you're not 100% sure, because a lot of it is industrial grade for machines. Okay, it's not for human consumption, that you can clean water and then drink it. This is made so you can clean water and drink it, just like this filter is. Clean water and drink it, so it's good for your fish. So please keep that in mind when you do buy the resin. You can buy this right off the internet. This bag of resin here was like $32 for this big bag of resin. And okay, and it's full. This is $32 for this, and you're not going to have to use it or run out or ever buy new resin for next 5 or 10 years. It's going to last you that long as you keep making your Dick Boyds. And of course, if you want, like I said, you don't have to use 16 ounces of carbon. You could use 11 ounces like Dick Boyd's does. In fact, now Dick Boyd's is using 10 ounces. So you can go that route if you want, just use 10 ounces of carbon. But I use 16 ounces, 1 pound of carbon, and then I added my GFO and my resin. And this is what Dick Boyd's uses, people, and you're paying 17 bucks for it. And the next time I buy this product and my carbon, I'm going to save with the number of Dick Boyd's I can make and what I would have to buy, I'll save about $32. And you're going to keep saving. That money's going to keep adding up of what you're saving on just making it yourself. And you're not going to be throwing away a lot of stuff at the end of its life cycle. All you do with these, you just empty them, clean them out, over the sink, refill them. Things are going to last for years. These are real nice mesh bags, real fine. So none of your GFO is going to come in. Now, a lot of people I know you're thinking right about now, GFO. GFO will cake up. Okay, understand that. If you put it in a small little bag, it will cake up. But if you add it in carbon like we've done here, the GFO's been added in there, it won't cake up. That's why when they make a reactor, the GFO is bubbled up constantly like a sand filter. So it doesn't cake up. But when you add it into carbon and you break it up like this is, okay, it won't cake up. It'll stay open. And you'll be able to find out then, is this enough GFO in here? Or do you have to add another scoop or two as time goes on to keep your phosphates down? We already have solved the problem of nitrates. We're just now going to start dealing with phosphates and trying to keep them down. Okay, so until next time, this is Dr. Novak. Thank you for watching.